President of the Good afternoon. I'm Randy Summers, immediate past president of the South Texas Commercial Association of Realtors, and we want to welcome you to the next episode of Zooming Across South Texas, where we visit certain locations throughout South Texas and find out just what's going on with the development, economic opportunities. And if you've attended any of ours in the past, we've gone to Laredo, we've gone to Corpus, and now we're over in Kerrville. And we have with us today as our guest, Mr. Gilberto Salinas, who is the Executive Director of the Kerr Economic Development Corporation. Of course, everyone's aware that it's the Hill Country and along the very busy corridor, Interstate 10 going out from San Antonio. Gilbert was former head of the economic development in Brownsville and of the Matamoros Mexico Borderplex, which is a binational and bicoastal region of 1.2 million, where he managed a prospect pipeline of a little over $11 billion in projects. And he's distinctively worked together with the group over there. And I'm proud to say my father, who's passed in the space exploration technologies, or SpaceX, and its founder, Elon Musk. And of course, everyone knows that SpaceX is eventually going to launch rockets up to Mars from Brownsville. He was recently chosen to present his story about SpaceX in a TED Talk series in Toronto, and he was appointed by Governor Greg Abbott in 2016 to the Texas Aerospace and Aviation Advisory Committee. Then he was recently appointed in 21 by Governor Greg Abbott to the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority. So we want to welcome Gilbert to our session today, and we're anxious in learning about Kerrville and Kerr County. And of course, Kerr County's kind of always been the Hill Country, and everyone's always wanted to, living down here in the valley, everyone's always wanted to move from the valley to Kerrville. And I have some good friends that are up there and in what's affectionately known as the Valley Rats. That they, I don't know if they still meet for coffee every once in a while, but there was a group that used to do that quite often. But Gilbert, we want to welcome you, and anxious to hear a little bit about Kerrville and Kerr County. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Thank you, Randy. And first and foremost, a big shout out to late Bill Summers, your father, a great mentor, friend, and did some phenomenal things out in the Rio Grande Valley in Northeast Mexico as an economic developer and just as a human being. And then secondly, the other one is, it's interesting because when I got to Kerrville almost 6 years ago, can't believe it's been that long already, having left Brownsville, the valley, to Kerrville, people in Kerrville were referred to Kerrville as South Texas. And I know you mentioned it as being part of South Texas. And to me, it's like, I would look around, I'm like, this doesn't look like South Texas. There's not a lot of mesquite trees. There's hills, and the culture is a little different, right? Obviously, me coming from the valley. But I've gotten used to it now. But to me, it's more of that hill country. Well, that's all we have to say. It's the hill country. It's beautiful country. So as of late, let me take a couple steps back. Kerrville did a phenomenal job 30 years ago promoting itself as a retirement community. And they attracted a lot of retirees from Houston and from the Dallas area, a lot of executives. My board is very interesting. I mean, I've got former executives of Fortune 500 companies, NASA executives. So it's a very, very interesting region as far as the people that live there. But as a result of that, a lot of the young, in addition to brain drain, a lot of the young population, the working population, left the area. In 2010, the 2010 census showed that there was a decrease in population, not by much, but still it was a decrease. So Kerrville leadership, right around 2015, 16, started really working on the 2050 comprehensive plan. And it's a huge document. It involved the entire community on how to, foster the growth, both organically and helping it along the way of the community. And in it is a huge economic development component. Hence, that's how I came on their radar 6 years ago, back in 2018, and grabbed that economic development roadmap, basically a blueprint. And I'm like, the work is here now. Now we just need somebody to execute it. So that's what we started to do. And since then, the community has grown. It showed in the last 15 years about an 8% population growth, which is pretty healthy. It's not like New Braunfels or the Dallas area, which is on 50 plus growth, nor do we want that either. And as a result of that, we started having success in the recruitment of industry as well as some commercial developments, and then housing, which has been a huge challenge for Kerrville really in the last 20 years. Just a couple of months ago, we had an announcement of a company by the name of Megacrete, and it is a partnership between two no pun intended, but two mega families, right? Two families that are actually listed on the Forbes list of 500 most influential industrial families in North America. One being the Zambrano family out of Monterrey, which are the owners of Cemex, which is the second largest concrete company in the world. And then the Herb family, which they're out of Chicago, which happens to be the second largest shareholder of Coca-Cola. So they teamed up and they were shopping this particular project around. We got on their radar early on, and this project, I mean, it turned around within a year. I mean, from when we started the initial discussions to the actual announcement. Now they're going through the permitting process and should be breaking ground. So what this project is, it's about $60-70 million in capital investment, generating upward of about 100 jobs, well, between 80 to 100 jobs. And what it is, it's a manufacturer of advanced structural materials. The best way I can put it is, when you're out in San Antonio, Austin, the Houstons, the Dallases, and you see these huge towers going up and these white foam panels, at least I thought they were foam, that cover it, it's kind of like the shell, that's their product. So what it is, it's an actual concrete panel that weighs a fourth of what a single block weighs, and it's got the phenomenal capabilities as far as strength, resistance, it's fire resistant, fireproof, and so on and so forth, and it's hurricane resistant, wind resistant, I should say, huge wind resistance. So they're introducing that product now to the United States. Some of their clients include Marriott, Hilton, Costco, Sam's, H-E-B, which was founded in Kerrville. The Austin Convention Center was built with that material. Lennar Homes, which is the largest home builder in the United States, they just picked them up. So they're manufacturing this in Monterrey. And now they said, we need to be in the US market, and we're looking for locations specifically in Texas. And here it is. It's in Kerrville now. And not only were we able to successfully land the manufacturing operation, which the bulk of their investment is going to be equipment, large equipment, but their headquarters, their U.S. headquarters are going to be in Kerrville. And that's just exciting from an economic development standpoint. Whenever you're able to recruit and work and foster the entry of a company, and they're going to set up their headquarters, I mean, it just sets you apart from your competition, other cities, specifically outside those outside of the state of Texas. So that's been a huge win for Kerrville. And then I think it's like 90% of their materials are going to be sourced from within a 100-mile radius, which is a true definition of economic development and spurring the supply chain and logistics. So as a result of that, I like to say that big fish draws other big fish. And 2 years ago, there was another project by the name of Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing, and they are a tier one aerospace supplier out of North Dakota. And what they do, they manufacture wire harnesses, fiber optic cabling, circuit boards for Boeing, for all the jetliners for Boeing, as well as Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Department of Defense, and some military work as well. And they're doing that now. They set up shop in Kerrville, and that was another project that was fast tracked, 400-person operation, and that was our other big fish. So that big fish helped draw the attention of another big fish, which was Megacrete. And we've now developed almost from scratch an aerospace, aviation, and hopefully soon space sector, which was, we had a little bit in Kerrville, but now it's really starting to take off. So, and now in the advanced manufacturing with Megacrete, we're starting to really see that take off and gain some momentum as far as the interest of other companies coming into the area. Killdeer has already made, Texas. It's Killdeer, Texas headquarters. Megacrete's going to have their U.S. headquarters there. James Avery, I think we're all familiar with them. They're headquartered in Kerrville as well, the jewelry maker. HEB Foundation is in Kerrville as well. And then Mooney International, which is, if you're a pilot, you'll know what Mooney is, which is considered the Mercedes of small aircrafts.
And I am a pilot, and so I was going to ask you about that because
exactly, yeah. So
I knew at one time that they had stopped manufacturing, and then they had a group come in and buy them, and they restarted. So that's
so they're good question, Randy. So they're not manufacturing right now; they're servicing all the existing planes that are out there, parts, maintenance. They're manufacturing some of the parts. They are, I think, and I cannot speak on their behalf, from what I can gather, they are meeting with other investors looking at ramping up their manufacturing division, manufacturing these planes. So we're really starting to carve a niche as far as a location, talking about the hill country and just the allure of the area, and really getting with some of the former executives that used to run these huge operations, leaning on them to recruit corporate headquarters to this little place called Kerrville, Texas. And then you've got the housing and the commercial sectors that are really starting to thrive as a result of really focusing in on industry. So before I go into the other two, anything you wanted to ask, Randy, or add for that matter, since you're familiar with the area?
No, because you're getting ready to go into part of what I wanted to ask, because I know those industries produce challenges in housing, and how are y'all meeting that? What perhaps national home builders or groups do y'all have coming in to help with that, with affordable housing? Because you've got, with the retirees that are there, a lot of your homes are more expensive homes, bigger homes, with your retirees coming from Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, that retired with a good income and coming over there and building nice houses. With the industries that are being developed there, what challenges is that creating with your affordable housing? And not the affordable housing, but your just middle America housing.
And I'll add another, I don't know if it's an ugly word or a bad word, but Californians.
Yeah, true.
I can say that as a Texan, right?
They're coming in. Some of that too.
They're coming in, snatching them up. And I mean, I tell you, because I went through it, right? I was trying to buy something, and it took me a while to finally get something that was flying under the radar, because you've got, Californians coming in and snatching up this real estate, which is, it's a challenge, it's a problem, but it's a good problem to have. However, it is a challenge. So as a result of the community leadership really getting together 6-7 years ago, coming up with a comprehensive plan, one of the legs, or one of the challenges that was identified, no surprise, was housing. There were housing issues then, now more so. which hopefully, depending who sees these or reads or sees this video, if you're a developer, please call me. Please call us because we need some of these developers. So I think it was about 3 years ago. The community really went out, the leadership went out and started looking at some national home builders, and actually we put ourselves out there and said, look, we'll incentivize, and us as an economic developer. If you would have asked me 5-6 years ago, you're going to be doing housing in a few years, I would have been like, no, that's crazy. That's beneath me. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. Well, Randy, guess what I'm doing? We're doing housing. So we put ourselves out there, and Lennar Homes is the one that actually, and they're out of San Antonio, started working with us, and we provided a incentives package for them to build, to build some housing, and what we called it was not affordable housing, but attainable housing, because if people are, in the community heard affordable housing, you'd get that like, right. Well, maybe
everybody be up in arms.
Road. Yeah. And so we said, no, it's attainable housing for the middle class, working families, young working families that we need. We have the Peterson Medical Center, the companies that I just mentioned, Mega Creek, Killdeer, All Plastics, Fox Tank, the commercial sector, the school district, the superintendent's like, hey, I got teachers that can't take, they pay very well, but they can't take some of our jobs because they can't find a home. So that was part of the answer to the solution for them coming into the community. We took some backlash because we were incentivizing a developer, but yeah, their first phase was about 200 homes, which I think they're in the process of finishing that up, and they've gotten approval for a second and a third phase. I don't have all the details as far as what all went into it, but we were very successful in getting them. And then as a result of that, smaller developers are now starting to come into the community looking to build there. Another challenge, in addition to the high cost of living, and I can say that because I live there. Kerrville's expensive, but it's because it's a destination. It's a place where people want to live and work, and or run a business. And then the availability of contractors. That's also a little bit of a challenge because they're all tied up in Austin or San Antonio. So for them, Kerrville's a small market. They don't want to, have their crews come out here, when there's enough work for them over there. Then the other one is it's all rock. And, I came from the valley where it's just flat and it's dirt, clay dirt, easy to build on. And I don't want to speak on behalf of valley developers, but it is challenging. I mean, sometimes you gotta cut into hills. I don't want to say move mountains, but you got to move hills sometimes in order to build. So that's the other challenge. It means it drives up cost. So we've found ways to mitigate that, to start getting some of these home builders to come in. The other one is working with some of our larger companies, some of the newer companies. We've worked on a very on a workforce strategy where trying to really put the word out that these companies are looking and they're hiring specifically Kerrville people within the county. Right now we have about 10,000 people for a city of 25,000. We have the city of 25,000 people. We've got 10,000 people driving into Kerrville for a very good paying job.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have about 3,000 that are leaving Kerrville. So those 3,000 that we identified, and the ones that are coming in, that's great. But we're leaking that money, right? But we want them and we still need them. But the 3,000 plus, that's almost 4,000, I believe, that are leaving the county, we've been able to identify some of those and generated a short list. Granted, it's a short list of a couple hundred people that are already in the hands of some of our local companies trying to hire them because they already have a home in Kerrville. So that's been part of the strategy. A lot of thought went into that, and it's about a year in, and we're starting to see some success. It's a process. It's going to take a while. So we're just having to get really creative. Prices, it's free market. It is what it is. And, we continue to have executives coming in and buying some of these homes. And then these new companies coming in, they bring in their management. Typically, they'll be renting apartments, but still, that'll push out some other people. And dare I say, Californians are coming in as well. I think it's slowed down a little bit, but we're still seeing them coming in. So yeah, these are some of the challenges. Very different from where I came from in Brownsville. Brownsville, it was like we went after so many different companies because we had the workforce, we had the housing. Hence, the SpaceX project. I mean, that was a great example of how they came in, took advantage of local workforce. They imported people, and well, the rest is history, as they say. So that's what we're working on in Kerrville, and we're again, it's a process, and I can't wait to see what this community will look like 5 years from now with everything that's happening.
Well, and who would have ever thought that in economic development that would be that incentivizing housing would be on that list, because that's just not typically done. But I've seen more and more EDCs have to go into that to be able to get the housing in the market that they need. And your efforts to go to identify those that are actually leaving Kerrville for work, applaud y'all for that, because that's a considerable amount of people. And if you're able to maintain those, because if they're driving down to Bernie, San Antonio, whatever, that's not just a 15-minute drive. They're they've got to commute like they live on the south side of Houston and having to drive up to the north side of Houston. But so that's really great. What do you feel would be the opportunities for investors, developers, or we as commercial realtors to assist with the growth in Kerrville, of what y'all's needs are?
So Kerrville, it's interesting because Kerrville has a beautiful, quaint downtown. And look, I'll promote Bernie and Fredericksburg as well, and Bandera for that matter. I mean, it's kind of like a little triangle, and each city has its own little uniqueness, and has done very well with working with small businesses to develop some of these local shops. And we continue to do that, and that's what we want. That's, again, it just goes to the fabric of each Hill Country community. But we do need some of the brand name commercial eateries, restaurants, outlets. We do lack some of that. And again, coming from the Valley, I mean, the Valley has a ton of them. Obviously, Austin, the San Antonios, Dallases, and Houstons. That's the one thing that I do see. Not that I'm promoting that, but as a commercial developer, I know we have two huge developments, Tybee Commons, and then the Landing. I think there's a third one, the Dallas developer that's looking to come in and hopefully make an announcement soon. That's all I can say about that one. So between those three, I think we're hopeful that we're going to start seeing some of these smaller shops. For instance, it's I'll get asked, it's like, when are we getting an Olive Garden? And I'm like, okay, I'm like, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure we would qualify for that, right? But as far as the specifications of the community, and then they'll be asking about a Target, like Panera and stuff like that. And again, it's not stuff that I really directly work with. I work more with the developers. But all those little shops, all those little commercial branding eateries and stores, that's what I'm hearing on the ground from people there. And not to take away from the small shops. I mean, like I said, it's quaint. And we've got our breweries, our wineries, some unique, olive, I think there's a place that makes great olive oil. They export it, I believe. I mean, it's the list goes on as far as those little shops. But, we do need some of these national retailers as well. So from a commercial standpoint, that's what I would ask. And then the other one is housing. And the three projects that I just mentioned, they're mixed use development. So they're going to have housing component as well as commercial component as well. One's going to be a little bit more on the higher end. But right now, we'll take any kind of housing, because even if it's higher end, that means they're leaving something else that maybe a middle class family could afford. I mean, they just kind of, it's a domino effect. So any kind of housing right now, I mean, we would definitely take a look at it. I'm not saying that we would incentivize them, but we'll take a look at it if it's housing, because we have, I mean, I'll give you an example right now. We have 11 to 1200 primary good paying jobs that are open right now in the community. That doesn't include like teachers, the university. We have a university, by the way.
Shriner University, yeah.
Shriner University. But that's like between the medical sector and industry, aerospace, aviation. They need to be filled, and they're not filled because of housing. So any kind of housing right now, we would definitely take a look at it. A couple things that are on the horizon for Kerrville that'll make it yet even more attractive is you just mentioned Shriner University. University has been there. They just celebrated their 100th year anniversary, and for a community our size to have a university, I mean, it just that's how we are able to compete with some of these bigger cities. I just mentioned Killdeer and Mega Creek. We're going to much bigger markets, but because we have a university, robust medical sector, we have a very good skill set for what they were looking for. I mean, everything just kind of came together nicely. So Shriner University just announced here a few weeks ago that they're now going to have a football team. So they're going to get into the college football business, which means that will attract more people to the community, visitors, so on and so forth. Again, can't say this enough, but more housing as well is needed. So that's going to be yet again another draw for Kerrville now that we're going to have a football team. It's not going to be Division I, not yet, but the intent is there to get them there in next decade or something. So that's just exciting. And then the other one is they are in the process on the fundraising phase right before they start, getting ready to construct, and that is the River Center, Guadalupe River Center. So Kerrville is known for having the Guadalupe River come in through downtown. It's got a beautiful river trail, which I jog in, and it goes through like 4 ecosystems. It's very interesting, beautiful. I mean, there's always deer. We get used to seeing deer all the time. So and now they're building it's like a little conference center. The river center is like a conference center. It's going to be a public area, and then it's going to have some docks and some slips for kayaks. I think it's going to be pet friendly, and then it's going to have slips also for sailboats, because you can't have motorboats on the river. So they're planning for sailboat regattas, all these different kind of competitions. I think the second biggest Ironman, it might be the first or the second biggest Ironman contest in Texas, is in Kerrville. So that'll be like the headquarters for that. So the headquarters for that. So I mean, that's going to be yet again another big draw for the community. In addition to just people, tourism always spikes, during the summer, again, because of the river and everything that we have going on. The eclipse that just happened, I mean, NASA was there broadcasting live from there. So again, and as more people come in, it puts a strain on our infrastructure, which the city's working on, but it creates more sales tax revenue, more local jobs. But it comes back to that community challenge that we have of housing, which we're working to address. We just can't do it fast enough right now.
Mm-hmm. So
developers, please call me, email me.
So your river center is adding to the quality of life there in Kerrville for people that move into Kerrville, and has the flurry of apartment building that's happened down in the San Antonio area. Has it migrated out to the Kerrville area to where I know you have construction issues out there with all the rock, but has Kerrville experienced some nice market rate apartment complexes being built?
Yes, we have, and that's because again, it's we're 35 minutes away from the Domain in the San Antonio area, which is a very nice part of area, the Rim. So that we get a lot of spillover from that as well, and that's helped with some of our local rates as far as the market, both housing and then on the commercial side. So we're seeing some of that spillover. Bernie's right there as well. Bernie's the one that's getting hit the hardest. There's
Yeah.
still some sort of buffer zone, but we're seeing it. We know what it's going to look like 10 years from now as far as rates. It's as an investor, you're always looking at areas where you think it's always going to, valuations are going to increase. Well, I've never seen Kerrville. I've never seen it the way it is in Kerrville. I mean, those values just continue to increase, which is good if you're in the world of investment.
Well, Kerrville's, you had San Antonio, then everything's jumped out to Bernie. And so Kerrville's the next step out there as far as opportunities, I think. And so this will be going to, number one, it'll be going to all our members, but it will also be going to, and which a lot of those are representatives for some of the national franchises and restaurant groups. So they'll hear that y'all are in need of an Olive Garden out there, as well as some of the other restaurants, and perhaps they'll take a trip out there to do a little bit of site selection and look to determine the actual needs out there. But so I think that'll be a bonus for that. And with the state hospital and with Shriner and with the different industries, what do you feel are is your largest industry in the area right now? Is it because it used to be farming and ranching, or ranching, not necessarily a whole lot of farming, but and then oil and gas. You got tourism. I know that's a big part of it. Do any of these new employers, will they turn the tide as far as being the major sector that employs, or what do you still see as the largest sector as far as employees?
Good question, Randy. So the largest sector has been and will continue to be the medical sector, medical and health. Part of it is because of the retiree population.
Exactly.
And that's the Peterson Medical Center, which is throughout the Hill Country and headquartered in Kerrville. And they're just adding another $150 million addition to the hospital. But on top of that, you've got the state hospital that's been there since the 20s or 30s, something like that. They continue. I've met with them. Actually, the lady who runs the place, she's from Brownsville. And so they and good paying jobs, and they continue to recruit. They actually bus people in from the San Antonio area for that operation. Then you got the VA hospital that's been there also for many, many years. And so between those three, and then some of their medical suppliers, we have a medical device manufacturer. I mean, it's medical and health it continues and will continue to be the largest private employer in the area. Next to that would be industry, and that's just, again, from the James Avery's to everything that I mentioned in the aerospace sector. And then we've got a couple of companies there that are there because they're suppliers for the oil fields in West Texas, and then for the natural gas fracking in South Texas. And they're like, we're right in the middle, and we can get to both fairly easy. So that's another one that, again, it's got its highs and lows, but they've been there for a long time. And then we continue to see growth as well. So as far as its medical sector, and then industry, and then after that, I'd say, yeah, you've got, government, education, and then the commercial sector.
Well, Gilbert, there's a lot going on in Kerrville and the surrounding area. And I know with all these investors and developers that are going to come out there, they're going to want to try some of the wineries. So tell us a little bit about the winery industry.
Okay. So we call it, we use a fancy word for that. It's called craft agriculture.
Okay.
So it's It's actually one of our target sectors because the bulk of that is up in the Fredericksburg area to Johnson City. If you've driven, of 290, they're all stacked up over there. So we're either at the beginning or at the end of that trail that goes from there all the way to the Austin area, Ripon Springs, and we have Kerrville Hills Winery. And then we've got a couple other ones in the Comfort and Center Point area as well, Bending Branch Winery. And then we've got Pint and Plow, that's a brewery, Basement Brewers, Butted Sandal, Ringo's. And then we've got a new one that'll be coming in very soon, which is in spirits. And then what's interesting is Schreiner University. I absolutely love working with Schreiner because they did this with the aerospace and aviation. They created a avionics and program specifically for some of the companies we're recruiting, as well as a pilot's aviation program, again, to support the aviation sector. That one was really doing very well, both of those. And then what they've have done as of late, also working with us and then with a craft ag there in the area, working with some of the local wineries. So they created a vintner's program, degree program, teaching you how to analyze dirt and plant the vines to final production, to the actual bottled wine delivered, and how to get into the business as far as commercializing it. So everything all in one, working with our local wineries, and they have the beer trailhead there at Schreiner, on Schreiner campus, where they have some of the local wine and some of the local beers for the students and for the public. Well, we've actually had events at the trailhead, which connects to the river trail as well. So it's about connecting the dots, and we've done a very good job in doing that and supporting our local industry, as well as with support from connect them to education, higher education, and with some of the amenities that we have there as well.
Well, that's great. Gilbert, we really appreciate you spending this time with us today. I encourage those that are watching, if you to go out onto the Kerrville EDC's website, look at their 2050 plan. I had a chance to kind of glance through it in preparing for this. It's a very detailed plan, and one that is really exciting, really, from being involved in development here, being on my local planning and zoning committee, as well as the airport committee. That is a very all-inclusive 2050 plan, and things are going to be very exciting in Kerrville, I can tell. So just a reminder to everybody, STCAR, South Texas Commercial Associates and Realtors, headquartered in San Antonio. We cover 44 counties in South Texas, and we invite those who may want to become a member to join us. Just go out to our website, stcar.org. You can see our other two videos that we have on Corpus Christi and Laredo, and this one will be out there too, as far as the link to where you can share this link with other people to tell other people about Kerrville. So, Gilbert, thank you very much for joining us. It's nice to talk with a Valley Rat, and we look forward to good things happening in Kerrville and the opportunity that we might have to work with you in the future.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Gilbert.
Thank you, Randy.